Hey everybody, I was about to say happy Monday, but it's Sunday. Happy Sunday. Well, actually it is happy Monday if you are on the East Coast, and then it's happy Sunday if you're on the West Coast. So I'll say la 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 Monday, Sunday, la 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 la, so good to me. La 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 la, Monday, Monday. Anyway, the news. The sports news is dominated by what has to be called one of the best speeches I've ever heard given by anybody in any walk of life at any time in my life. Period. What's up, Marcus? How you doing? Welcome to Zennie 62 on a Sunday night. Wow, this is ramping up. Hey, folks have been waiting around, sort of. You're bots, but the whole point is, well, if you're bots, welcome, bots. Marcus, you're not a bot. Marcus is subscribed to my channel. Marcus, I thank you for subscribing, and I will not disappoint you. We's here. Yes. Now, as I was saying, hey, did you see, Marcus, the Ray Lewis speech? And if so, what did you think? I was blown away. And look, I've heard a number of, as my friend Melissa Rubin calls him, Ray Ray's speech. Barry Lee, how you doing? How's Texas? I've heard of a number of Ray Ray's speech, but that one, you knew he was ready to bring it when he had the mic set up, what, 30 minutes before? I mean, he was, just ready, okay? Marcus says, my family loves this channel. I love the passion. Thank you very much. Joseph Bensman, how you doing? Barry Lee says, hot as you know what in Seguin, Texas. It's hot in Seguin. It's hot in Georgia. It's really hot in Las Vegas. It's not hot in Oakland. So if you want to cool off somewhere, folks, fly to the San Francisco Bay Area where the temps are much cooler, even in the South Bay. Just saying. But I digress. Back to the point. Ray Lewis. Whoa, wait. Joseph Benson went to Cape Cod? Nice. Marcus McKeely says, we love it when you crush the haters. Thank you very much. Hey, look, it is what it is. Barry Lee says, it's Dale, Texas now where I moved to yesterday. Oh, how do you like Dale, Texas, by the way? While you're writing that, I'll keep talking about the great Ray Lewis. Ray Lewis just brought it. And what, I have to just say this, folks, okay? It is both gratifying yet tearfully sad to realize that the two greatest speeches, and I think arguably one of the greatest speeches you'll hear this year, were given by two black men who endured a great deal of pain. Not just Ray Lewis, but Brandon Dawkins of the Philadelphia Eagles, Brian Dawkins of the Philadelphia Eagles, who talked about his battle with depression. And then, of course, Ray Lewis grew up single mom, not a lot of money. Mom wanted to take him from Florida to Tennessee. He said, no, that's not my vision, Mom. His mom gave him what she could afford and said, okay, go for it. And he did, and he made something of himself. And the sad part of it is that some publications, I'm not going to mention one, to bring up the whole Atlanta thing all over again, although Ray Lewis did nothing to harm anybody and was not accused or charged of a crime. He went through that, let it go. But look, I've said it before, I'll say it again because it's really sick. If a black person in the NFL does something wrong, the media, which is mostly white, will talk about it. But if the person happens to be white that did something wrong, you'll barely hear a peep from the media. That's just a sad fact that has to change, and the only way to get it to change is to talk about it and to point out when it happens. But the beautiful thing is that, is that while Ray Lewis' name was part of the worldwide trend on Twitter, what that means, if you're not familiar with Twitter, is that of all the searches for anything, the term Ray Lewis was one of the top 10 on Twitter in the entire room. Hey, Dre Perkins, how you doing? Hey, Cowboy Russell, how you doing? One of the top 10 in the entire world, okay, on Twitter. And that's billions of tweets. So that's an incredible achievement. And not only was it look, even equally incredible is that it lasted, Ray Lewis' name on Twitter trends for hours, worldwide, for hours. Hours, okay? Didn't subside, I think, until 2 o'clock this morning when his name came down. And people are still talking about his speech. And if you look at the tweets, they were all positive. I mean, you would have to hunt with a pitchfork to find, I mean, a sharp pitchfork to find a negative tweet that referring to Atlanta or anything else. People were just gushing over Ray Lewis. I mean, it just plain was incredible. Marcus says, would I wear a Ray Lewis jersey? Why the heck not? Of course I would. I mean, why not? My friend Melissa certainly has his number 52. He's good enough for Melissa. He's good enough for me. I have never had anything against Ray Lewis, except that he crushed the Raiders. And so did Shannon Sharp. Anyway, you get the idea. But other than that game that I had the misfortune of attending, AFC first round divisional playoff game. Anyway, I remember that thing like it happened yesterday. I remember where I sat. I remember Shannon Sharp's 96-yard touchdown catch and run. I remember how the Ravens came into the Coliseum and basically took the Raiders apart. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I remember that big time. And Ms. Zeitgeist says, I saw a column that showed that the Major League Baseball's record with domestic violence is worse than the NFL's. Hey, I didn't know that. But see, you would not know that, right? The way the media covers the NFL. Saying there is a racist double standard in how crime is reported. And then people wonder why I say, hey, look, there should be a healthy media with black ownership, not just representation, but ownership and voices, because then you'll get the story from another point of view, but also you'll get someone like me who's sitting in the NFL draft room saying, hey, Taylor Lewan beat the crap out of two dudes and was arrested for assault. Taylor, how does it feel to be compared to Richie Incognito, which is what I did ask him. He didn't like the question. But nobody in the room asked him about it. And this time, but he were black, boom, that's the first thing they would have come out with. Okay? That's sick. That is sick. It is a sick situation when you have a society that seems to be invested in crafting an image for you based on your color. That's why you have so many black men in particular who are to this day in jail for crimes they didn't commit. Because someone had no problem creating a false narrative about them, and they didn't have enough money to do anything about it, okay? But I digress, all right? But thank you for that, Ms. Zeitgeist. You're absolutely right. And Marcus says Gannon's neck was cracked. Yep. And Marcus says, when is the NFL going to have colored owners? When more colored folks apply. Look, there are black billionaires. Robert Smith's a black billionaire. A number of black billionaires around the world. There are a number of black multimillionaires. It's a matter of time. It doesn't. I'm going to say this. It doesn't help the cause when someone who's an entertainer comes forward and says, well, I want to buy it, when they don't have the capacity to buy it, as opposed to keeping silent about their intentions, but forming alliances with African Americans who have true wealth and doing it. Look, we have 7 billion people on this planet. The only difference between you and I is here and circumstance and luck, and also racism. There is an extra layer still to fight through. But the good news about America in particular, and I think it's incredible news not talked about, is that we now have what I call the mixed middle. And that is people, white man, black woman, marry beautiful kids. Black man, white woman, marry beautiful kids. Asian man, white woman, marry beautiful kids. You see what I'm getting at? All mixed up. Jewish, and it's great. And that's the middle of society. That's the new, I call it the new silent majority, okay? And So my point is that, look, situation is a lot better than it's made out to be. It really is, and there's a lot to be proud of in this country and our advancement. But look, I'm going to go back on the Raiders and everything else, but I want everybody to know that I think America's headed in the right direction, and there's a lot to be proud of. Don't think for a moment that race and race relations haven't advanced. They actually have. Fact. Okay. Now, moving forward. Kevin says, I live here in Dallas, and the media down here is blaming Jerry Jones for putting Dak in a difficult position. Well, here's the thing, okay? I think Dak Prescott is right. I stand for the national anthem. I have my hand up here. You can call me a sellout. I don't care. I will not diss you, and I will not criticize your right to protest. But my point, as I made in a blog post the other day, is simply this. Look, the people yelling about who protests or who doesn't have completely messed up the message. This was supposed to be about police brutality against blacks, okay? So every time the national anthem subject comes up, people don't mention that. I'm mentioning it again. Keep your eye on the damn ball. Stop whining about who's more black or who is for society or anything. It's not helping the cause. All it's doing is keeping things the way they are. The whole purpose of the protest was to call attention to black communities that were quite literally terrorized by racist police officers. That was the idea. That was the idea, okay? So all this other stuff is like, whatever, okay? And so I don't blame Jerry Jones at all. Dak Prescott, it is his right as a man in America to state his view. His view is, hey, look, I don't agree with the protest. People are upset with that because he's black. Big deal. That's his choice. But that's not the point. The point is to always mention is the message of all this started as a reaction to the sad string of murders of black kids at the hands of police. Okay? That's the whole point. When we start talking about what Dak Prescott did, we lose the message. Dak himself could bring us back on track by saying, hey, look, this is what it's about. The problem, however, is what you get when you have some kids, which NFL players basically are when you think about it, who are in their teens and very early 20s, taking on a problem that adults take on, and so they're too easily led astray. It's their first job out of college, right? And you're going to put on some big boy pants and try to exact change when you don't even know, some of them don't even know who their congressperson is or their council member or supervisor or alderman with respect to wherever it is they happen to live. I'm talking about NFL players, particularly rookies, particularly young ones, particularly first, second, and third year ones. I mean, people always refer to them as men, and I think, well, just because you can sire a kid by a woman doesn't necessarily make you a man. It means that you can sire a kid by a woman, okay? But you are a man when you understand not just the consequences of what you do, but how to engineer society toward what you want to do. And that's where they lose, because they're playing against men, right? NFL owners are men. They're older, they've been there, they've got their money, they own the teams. So they already have the NFL players, the deck stacked against them because of that relationship. And then on top of that, the fact that they're just young and immature. So what happens is that rather than Dak saying, hey, you know what? This is supposed to be about staying on message, right? There's no PR guy telling him that, because they didn't hire one, to say, hey, look, stay on message. So he's not staying on message. What happens is the message gets, that's right, derailed. The message has been derailed. All right? So Predator Kingdom says, Lions versus Raiders. Thank you for getting me back on track. Speaking of derail, Lions versus Raiders fight at the Coliseum going to be a Chucky dolls all over the place. Ding! Marcus says, what do you think about LeBron James politics? Ding! I think LeBron James is setting a trend. And LeBron James struck the match. She struck the wick. And Ray Lewis added to it, particularly toward the tail end of his speech when he called for leaders. And that's what I'm talking about. Leaders who are not afraid to speak up, all right? Ms. Zeitgeist says, I bet LeBron James is now a Rams fan because of Dre Jones. That's quite interesting. We are at a place in society where I think it's too bad that we feel like uh, we've gone backward. But I say to you again, hang in there, folks. Better days are ahead. We're actually moving forward. I know it doesn't look like it, but by the grace of God, I tell you, we are actually moving forward. Do not despair. Do not give up. Don't let what appears to be the negative mood of the country make you negative. Go out there with a smile. Be positive. I'm telling you, I'm going to curse right here, but I'm telling you, the shit is not fucked up, okay? It is actually better than you realize. I'm just saying that, okay? It really is. Now, let's talk Raiders. Do I go to the home games? Yes, but I'm in Georgia for my mom. I will not be attending the Lions-Raiders game, but I've got NFL Game Pass, so I won't miss the coach's view, which is the side view. However, I will miss being there with you, although if Richard Hiker or anybody else that's on Zennie 62, or if any one of you is going to be there and wants to be a Zennie 62 vlogger and be there, holla. Okay, and I don't mean just holler on here. I mean actually send me an email, and you be serious too. I'm serious about that. All right. Cowboy Wrestler says, do you do live game reactions? I don't show the game, but I can do live game reactions. Yeah, I can and I have, but for copyright reasons, I do not show a game. In fact, what I was going to do tonight is turn us to the comments that John Gruden gave in his latest Oakland Raiders presser, right? And then react to those comments as they are heard. That's what I was going to do, and because I'm going to do it, right? Because I can, okay? And so my point is also, if you all want to check out my newest tech, you can go to oaklandnewsnow.com, and you can see the latest. Meanwhile, what do you have here? We have, let's see, NFL legends, media personalities made their way to Raiders camp this week. Okay, that's great. Training camp notebook. Coach Gruden gives, let's see here, news, videos. All right, let's see here. What do we have? We got latest. Okay, press conferences. Let's check out the press conferences. One thing I like about the Raiders and their new guys is they're putting their videos out there, man. Okay, so this is the latest. This is I'm gonna play for you now some of the, I can't show them, but I'm gonna play you the audio from the latest comments from Raiders. In particular, I'm gonna say one thing. Okay, first of all, before I move forward, I went to the NFL annual meeting and I told Raiders general manager Reggie MacKenzie that Courtland Sutton out of SMU, Courtland Sutton, okay? Courtland Sutton, S-U-T-T-O-N, Sutton, is going to be, all right, is going to be someone watching. I told, and I've said it before here, and I said it before here, he was my selection in the mock draft for the Raiders. I said he was going to be an all-pro this first year, all right? Okay? I told that to Reggie MacKenzie. I said the Raiders should draft him. He goes, I told him that to show you something, and this is the reason why I started my own media company, one reason. What does that say? Rookie wide receiver Courtland Sutton has Broncos training camp buzzing. Okay? That's by Lindsey Jones, the USA Today. He was a very nice person. Hear that? See that? Rookie wide receiver Courtland Sutton has Broncos training camp buzzing. You got it? Buzzing. Okay? I told you, Reggie. Meanwhile, the guy that the Raiders took, basically instead of Courtland Sutton, Martavis Bryant, what is Gruden doing? He's complaining about him to the media, saying, hey, he's got to learn the offense. He's got to learn the different positions. Well, I can't say I'm sorry. Again, I cannot say I'm sorry, all right? At all. I can't say I'm sorry. Now, you guys are saying that Arden Key has him buzzing. No, Arden Key is definitely a great find, But my point is that the Raiders, Arden Key and Mr. Hurst, Maurice Hurst is Hurst are examples of what I call the Raiders' low-budget draft. Let them come on down, get them cheap, and they get in, with an injury, and then pay for them, right? My point is, Courtland Sutton, and John Mark said it right there. Cam Robinson should have been a Raider. Courtland Sutton should have been a Raider. Instead, the Raiders are going to be bludgeoned by this fellow. You heard it here first. This year, and with Gary Conley injured, it will not be fun to watch, okay? It will not be fun to watch. Now, let's hear the comments as by John Gruden. John, this is Oakland Raiders head coach John Gruden, folks, saying that we're going to play the best guys, okay? Play the best guys is one thing, man, but you got to have a system to make sure that those best guys are in place. But I believe he said this to my friend Jared Bell of USA Today, who I want to hire away from the USA Today one day when I get enough money, which could be very soon. Listen, here we go. You hear that?
What did it mean to have them here?
Well, I just like their presence. Mike Cypher is a great punter. The Chargers was here for the last few days, and they're just great resources. There's a lot of free time. There's a lot of time in the hotel, and sometimes the mental approach to the game, getting on a schedule, a professional schedule during the season. Sometimes you can tweak your schedule, get a little bit better, but they're as good of players as there is at their positions, and to have them as resources is a great thing. I've always tried to do that.
What led you guys to let Giorgio go before preseason games?
Well, I think
Giorgio,
the young kid is really kicking the ball well, and it's hard to get a right-footed kicker and a left-footed kicker and the holder in the operation tight enough. And Nugent is a guy that we have a lot of familiarity with. I just think the two right-handed kickers is going to help the operation. The snapper, and nobody talks about the snapper. Everybody thinks it's all the kickers. But the operation will be much better, and Tavecchio is a good kicker. We wanted to see if he could catch on with another team. But,
hey, Sean Grogan,
I appreciate Giorgio. He's a pro. He did a lot of good things for us, and we've got a battle still at the kicking position.
Coach, PJ Hall came off the PUP on Wednesday. What have you seen from him in the last couple of days?
Well, he's a hard guy to block. He's what we thought he was. He's a powerful guy. He doesn't look like the biggest defensive tackle in the league, but he is a powerful, stout, quick, penetrating inside presence that we need here. We have not had enough inside pass rush, and hopefully, we get the full strength on the outside and improve inside, and we might have some.
Rich said the other day that you had seen Switzer while you were doing college ball. What did you see out of him that made you want to go get him?
I love Switzer. I think he's one of the best punt returners of college football, perhaps the history of college football. He's as good as I saw. And I'm 54. I wasn't around to say I saw everybody, but hell of a returner. Very productive receiver. Incredible stop and start quickness. And he's a courageous, tough guy. He's a little guy, but he is not afraid of playing and going inside. And I like that. He's got the qualities I'm looking for in a slot receiver.
I saw Aitman a couple of days in a row go way up and bring balls down. Today we saw him sink to his knees and make a catch. Is he a little farther along than you thought he was? About what you thought he was?
No, he's farther along. He's going to get on the field if he keeps playing. We had a personnel meeting the other night, and everybody's talking about Aitman. And we're going to play the best guys, and right now he's earning the right to get on the field.
Does he have special teams?
Yeah, he does. He's going to help on special teams. That's what you want in a young receiver, a guy that can be a gunner or a hold-up guy that can compete on the coverage teams and learn how to be an NFL receiver. But he has put a lot of time in. And, again, I just give Edgar Bennett a lot of credit. Edgar Bennett, the Packers have done an outstanding job as an organization drafting and developing their own at that position. And Edgar Bennett has a lot to say with the emergence of a lot of these young receivers. I like Saeed Blackman also.
With Aitman emerging, you guys have sort of a cluster of a ton of receivers. Would you maybe look to trade one of those weapons before the season rather than cutting them?
It's too early to say that right now. We haven't even really broke a sweat yet. We got to play a couple of these preseason games, and see how it all shakes
Yeah, you
out.
got a
But
long
we do
way to
like
go.
what we've seen the first 2 weeks of camp.
What makes Switzer a good fit for your offense? 'Cause that was one thing he didn't really get to do a whole
Fits
lot.
any
You know what
offense.
bothers me?
He's
You know,
in
I
a
gotta
tough
stop
position
this.
in Dallas
I got-
with Cole Beasley as the
Hold on a
slot.
second. I gotta
You
stop
know,
this one right here. I gotta
obviously
stop. I gotta
got a
stop this.
surplus, and they
I gotta stop this right here. I'll tell you what bothers me about these questions, okay? What the Raiders are doing on offense is in the face of these reporters. And they don't talk about it. They don't talk about the drills with the time passes, the elements of the Bill Walsh system that are being installed. They don't talk about how the offense is designed at all. We had a whole training camp go by on the weekend. You didn't hear anybody talk about how the new offense looked. I did when I was there. I made comments about the crossing patterns and everything that were what the Raiders were trying to do under Del Rio, and you know, no one talked about that sort of thing. So I mean, how do you know the people covering the game actually know the game? So it quickly descends into this gossip stuff, right? I mean, I'm thinking I would love to have seen a camera out there to see these guys making these catches so I can make that determination for myself. That's media. I don't want it to come from a third party because they're only telling me maybe something they saw in a few seconds. That's garbage. Just saying, I just got to get that off my chest. People, you know, look, virtual reality, if the NFL can get away from this and just media needs to be altered and changed. Sports tech can do it. Real-time blogging right there as I'm built my system to do, and virtual reality so that you can see what's going on from wherever you are. You like you stepped into it. That is right now. That's not the future. That should be right now. You all, as media consumers, are getting rooked. Okay, you are getting rooked by the lack of technical knowledge that is out there among media companies, traditional media companies. You're getting rooked by organizations. I don't care if it's Major League Baseball, NBA, NFL, that do not push the media envelope forward on their own. You're getting rooked. And someone's got to say something about that. I'm saying something about it right now. Awful stuff. All right, back to Gruden. Just terrible, man. Just whereas Charles Barkley would say terrible. It's terrible. Is that how you would say it? Turbo? What would be turbo? Turbel. Got it. All right. And here's Gruden again. I can't hear anything. Hold on a second. Gruden says, let me see. They've got the latest. See what they put this on if it was YouTube style. Because the trouble is that they had on the other, it was on like a podcast style. But you couldn't dial in where you were, right? You were just kind of stuck there. And here it is, I believe. This is it. Yeah. This is it. I got it. Okay. All right.
Coach, what was it like bringing up?
Yeah, this is it. I'm watching all these guys behind.
learn how to be an NFL receiver.
They've all got.
He has put a lot of time in.
They've all got They've got mics, the tape recorder, so they can type things down. Rather than what I do, you take a smartphone out there, you make the video automatically becomes a blog with text, and the blog automatically becomes a post, not just on 16 of my blogs, but in social network, and then also news aggregators like Google News, goes out on Google Alerts, so the whole freaking world knows what's going on. Only takes 5 minutes, 2 minutes to make the video, or 10 in this case, and then another 10 or 15 minutes of preparation, then you upload it and you wait. 30 minutes later, you got something. That's it. It's going to take these guys much longer than you see typing all this stuff. Wasting money. Garbage tech media is what I call it. It's garbage tech media. All right, enough of me.
And again, I just give Edgar Bennett a lot of credit. Edgar Bennett, the Packers have done an outstanding job as an organization, drafting and developing their own at that position. And Edgar Bennett has a lot to say with the emergence of a lot of these young receivers. I like Saeed Blackman also.
With Aitman emerging, you guys have sort of a cluster of a ton of receivers. Would you maybe look to trade one of those weapons before the season rather than cutting them?
We heard that.
I don't know what they did, but he fits what we need. He's a guy that can change the game, I think, on third down. He's a tough matchup. He is quick, and he has vertical speed. He has special teams ability, and we'll just see if he's strong enough to be a durable player in last 16 weeks. We'll see.
What you learned from Martavis since he got here? What are you counting on from Martavis this season?
He's got to get out of here and play better.
This is the Martavis Bryant comment. Listen to this. Now, consider what you're about to hear in the context of my comment about Courtland Sutton and my comment to Raiders GM Reggie MacKenzie that they should select Courtland Sutton in the first round. Heck, I don't care if they traded down to get him or they shifted around. Courtland Sutton, I told him, is going to be an all-pro. I said Courtland Sutton's going to wear a Hall of Fame jacket. All right? I said that. So what's going on? He's balling out in practice. Listen to this. Now, they got this dude instead of Sutton. Listen, okay?
He's in a competitive situation, and right now, a lot of the other receivers have had a nice camp. He's just got to learn the offense. He's got to stay out here. He's had some illnesses. He's got to get on the field. He's got to master the offense and become more versatile. And that's a key to making this team better.
What do you attest to him being a little bit behind in terms of learning the offense at this point?
I'm not saying he's behind. I'm saying he's just got to be more versatile. I'm not going to say any more than that. He's in a competitive situation.
But he said enough. He is behind. You can't make two comments like that, John. I mean, first of all, versatile, I know what versatile means in Gruden's mind. He wants him to play the Z, the flanker. But he also wants him to play the W, which is the wing. He also wants him on occasion to be able to play the X, which is the tight end, depending on how they call it. He also occasionally is going to be called to play the Y, which is a split end. In other words, you have to know in a given play, you have to know what, if there is a flanker, what the flanker does, or the tight end, what the tight end does, or the W, if there's a wing, what the wing does, which is also a slot. Not to mention the split end. You should also even know what the fullback and the halfback do particularly if they have to run patterns. Because he may ask you, Gruden, and I certainly would in my system, to have you as the common flanker play occasionally halfback or fullback. Yeah, I said that. Because it's matchup football. So what Gruden is trying to get Martavis Bryant to think about is how he can be used like a Swiss Army knife of receivers. I can use him here as a wide receiver, as a going deep. I can use him here as a tight end going across. I can use him here as a flanker running a quick out. Okay, so that's what he's saying. And so, yeah, you do have to learn the offense. John's trying not to say he's not picking up the offense. But John basically just said he's not picking up the offense. Courtland Sutton, young rookie, he's enthusiastic, hungry for the money. He would not have that problem.
Nothing's going to be given to anybody. It doesn't matter how you got here or what your history card says. We need everybody to understand the best players are going to play, and he's got to be more consistent. And I'm confident he will.
9 practices in, John. How's Derek looking to you right now? I mean, is he all you thought, or is there still
He's talking about Derek Carr.
some things that he's doing that are surprising you?
He's doing really well. Yeah, he's doing really well. He's doing really well. If the coach doesn't screw him up, we have a chance to have a heck of a quarterback.
Has he thrown an interception yet in camp?
I don't think we've thrown any interceptions other than the one we had the first day here. Yeah. Bruce Irvin was surprised us dropping in coverage.
Yeah.
I think Connor Cooks and E.J. Manuel have also done well, but it all starts with number 4. He has set a real tone here behind the scenes in terms of his desire. I mean, he is working, man. He is working. He's all business. He's got a cannon, and he understands what he's doing, and there's not a lot we can't do systematically with him. But we got to make sure Colton Miller, the young receivers, the new tight ends, everybody is.
So he's high on Derek Carr, and he says that Carr is it, all right? And now I think someone put out something here. Your sources said what about, let's see here, some stomach issues. He probably has some bad, oh my God, you mean like food poisoning? Oh, that's sad. So at any rate, Bibba says bring back Amy Trask. I agree. Oh, 1,000,000%. Not just because she's my friend, but yeah, she's a brilliant CEO.
Is up to the same speed, and I think they're excited.
Let's see what else.
You just keep that timetable as it is. It'll be a couple weeks. We'll see what happens. We'll update you when we know something. But he was out here at the walkthrough, and that's
You're playing Earth, Wind, and Fire back there.
So you have a guy here who's capable of going in and playing in the pivot, making all the calls. And if Kelechi needs to miss some time, we have a guy go play left guard. Or if Gabe needs some time, he can step in like he's done the last 2 days. So Simmons and Feliciano have stepped up inside for us.
You talk a lot about what a Rick Holder, Johnny Townsend is. What does that do for him?
Pin the laces. You got to handle a bad snap.
All right.
Injury has opened up the door for everything. And Eric, Donald Penn is going to have to come back out on the field here. And
all right, so this is Donald Penn. Remember, last year I talked about Cam Robinson, and I said that had the Raiders drafted Cam Robinson, Donald Penn would not have held out. But Donald Penn, still a problem. Listen to this.
In terms of how you put the ball down.
Colton Miller has been lined up at the left all offseason. With Donald Penn possibly coming back soon, have you thought about playing Miller at the right tackle spot?
Yeah.
Not yet?
Donald Penn is going to have to come back out on the field here and obviously get himself going again. It'll take a little time. But we love what Colt Miller's doing. And we'll address that situation when it happens. But it'd be a good situation to have.
You guys added a lot of secondary pieces over the summer. What have you seen from them?
Well, we got a long way to go to see who the starters are going to be. Obviously Conley's injury has opened up the door for everything. And Eric Harris, he broke his finger. He's been out the last few days. It's wide open at the safety position. So the Lions coming in here dealing with Matt Stafford and these Lion receivers will be a great test. And we'll formulate our depth chart after Lion weekend. What do you expect, Ray?
I got to turn that because somebody's playing that music, which can get in the middle of your copyright. So it's like, geez, okay. Anyway, you heard that was the Gruden press conference. It's about another 30 seconds to end. But you got the idea right there, what's happening from his point of view and what he intends to do, talking about Coach Gruden. But I have to say, I have to say that I'm concerned that the Raiders don't seem to have it all together, and that John is still trying to fish around and figure out the identity of the team. See, if you don't know who is going to start, if you don't know other than number 4, right, Derek Carr, if you don't know who you're trying to groom, that's a problem. See, John said it himself. He says the one thing he likes about the Packers is how they've taken guys through the draft and they've groomed them, right? So those guys wind up in some cases with teams like the Raiders. Well, in order for that to happen, organization has to have some patience with player development and not have this revolving door. John's got this revolving door which reflects that he's got a fire under his butt to make something happen. Both by the situation he's been put in and given $100 million, and by his own, approach and attitude. That could spell trouble if you go in and maybe situations don't come out the way that you thought. Now I'm talking about specific situational football, but also the entire situation. You don't know how to adjust. So I think John needs to really focus on, let's talk about who's not fitting in, because it gives the wrong impression if I'm wrong, all right? But let's talk about who's not fitting in. More talk that gives us a positive picture of what's going on, but also more talk that at least would comfort my view that he's still trying to figure out how all this stuff works. Yeah, that's what it feels like to me. It's kind of like he's still feeling around. He's not quite sure. And so he's insecure. It comes off like he's really insecure. And I don't say that derisively. I'm saying that observationally, with the greatest respect in the world for the coach. And so I'll go back and read your comments. John Mark says Courtland Sutton is going to torch the Raiders twice this year, and yeah. However, so the sad thing is the Courtland is going to torch the Raiders. Yeah, I really, that's beginning to what it looks like is materializing. Big Up says, why did Mark Davis let Amy Trask go living in New York? I really don't know the reason behind it. I don't know the specific reason, but I believe it had, I mean, I'll just say this, okay? It feels like to me that Amy Trask is the closest to Al Davis that Mark gets, but is not his father. And so basically, if you go with what I call is the Michael Corleone theory of management that Mark Davis is adopting, then under that theory of management, you kiss the ring. That's him. You kiss his ring. And he doesn't want you kissing his father's ring. He wants you to kiss his ring. Just as Michael Corleone had no problem offing people who didn't recognize him as Godfather because he viewed that as being against the family, Mark Davis has no problem jettisoning, people he feels are against him. Look at Greg Papa, for example, okay? So that, I think that's what, I believe that's what happened with Amy. And I'm fairly certain that whatever story I hear would not be too far variation from what I just said. John Mark says, does John Gruden think he's back in year 2001? No. And so Cowboy Wrestler says, I swear, if Courtland Sutton becomes Antonio Brown material, I'm going to Alameda and laugh in Mark Davis' face. John Mark says, you might have a line forming, Cowboy Wrestler. And Cowboy Wrestler says, John Marks, I have a feeling it's going to be a huge line. Hey, Bible study, how you doing? Great to have you here. And Babe says, Gruden says Lions with Stafford and their great wide receiver would be a great test. They lucky to play one series, lucky to be West kind of test or something. And so Ms. Zeitgeist says, I heard Greg Papa had a problem with Mark talking about hiring Shanahan, someone that Al had a grudge with. Yeah, what a number of people had a problem with. It wasn't just Greg Papa, but also basically Greg Papa, Hugh Jackson. There are a number of people who felt that they were carrying the mantle for Al Davis, and they felt that Mr. Davis' son wasn't carrying the mantle for his father. That's what they feel. And look, we can debate for hours whether or not that's right or wrong. One thing that can't be changed is the fact that Mark Davis is the owner of the Raiders, and he is the managing partner. That's it. So the managing partner has a direction he wants to go, and that direction basically says, hey, look, you know what? In fact, he said this to me. All right, this is something I haven't shared with you before. This is, at least not in a long time, but I remember when I talked to Mark at the 2014 NFL owners meeting, spring league meeting in Buckhead. He said to me, I was all set to talk about the past, Hey, Ezra Rapport hired me. He said, I don't want to hear anything about the past. That's what Mark Davis said to me. I don't want to hear anything about the past. He only wanted to talk about the future, okay? Now, there's a lot of stuff encapsulated within that. But when he said that, he then said to me, I have $400 million for a stadium. And so I broke the story that Mark Davis said he had $400 million for a stadium. In fact, as soon as he said it, and we were done with our conversation, I went to the NFL press conference room, stood in front of the logo sheet, gave my video spiel and put it out there and scooped everybody by 2 full hours. The NFL Network was livid. I mean, they didn't know what to do. People on Twitter were saying, hey, Zennie scooped you. Zennie scooped you. I was right there, okay? So, yeah, my point is that that was, well, but, tuning my horn aside for a moment, but just for a moment. Uh, I know you hate when I do that. I don't care. But the whole point is that, but look, Davis told me right then and there that he didn't want to talk about the past. That's what he told me. Okay, I don't want to talk about the past. All right, and so now John Acala asked, does Plunkett still work for the Raiders in some capacity? Jim Plunkett is a Raider legend. Period. And Bible study and PJ says Marquette King is in trouble with the Broncos. He got taken off the Broncos practice field on Friday. What happened, Bible study? We'll check that out. Maybe John Gruden made the right call there, huh? Ms. Zeitgeist, I think I got Ms. Zeitgeist comment already. Rob Iman is here. John Mark says, Zennie scooped the NFL Network. Like, great stuff. Yeah, I did. I've done that a couple of times now, but that was a major scoop. Because it was right there in their backyard. It was their meeting, right? But, hey, look, they don't think of media in a tech way. I do, so I win. That's the way it is. Rob Iman, how you doing? Now, let's go back to, we talked about Raiders cutting the cow kicker. You heard Gruden talk about how it was an issue of, one person being left-handed. You got a person who holds it being right-handed. And I think what Gruden is considering as a potential problem is when you have a right-handed kicker, a left-handed kicker, okay, who's kicking this way, but you have a guy from the right, the angle of the kick comes off in a way where it doesn't hit in a way that's predictable. So sometimes the accuracy is thrown off. But if you have a right-handed holder and a right-handed kicker, then in theory you don't have that problem. Now, I have to be honest with you, I haven't studied the data. In fact, I haven't seen data that breaks this down. But I understand what John's thinking is. Just have to see how it works out. It's just that it feels like the Raiders aren't having luck with kickers. And I think the Raiders should have rethought the whole Janikowski thing. Something more to that they're not talking about. A's wins against the Tigers 6-0. Bible says Marquette took an aim at a few reporters from Denver's. Oh, he did. Mark, let me read about this. Thank you for the tip. Talking about Marquette King. See the report. Did the reporters harass him? Let's find out. We'll know in a few seconds. Marquette King, already unhappy in Denver, has to be restrained after going after a member of the press. That was in Silver and Black Pride 8 hours ago. It says, here's how the latest drama with Marquette King went down in Denver by Levi Damien. Let's see. I guess I have to mine social media to pick up some of these things. And so it says that it hasn't been 4 months since Marquette King was signed by the Broncos after being cut by the Raiders. He's already proving to be even more of a cancer there than he was in Oakland. He went after a member of the Broncos media after camp practice today. Wow. And had to be restrained by Broncos public relations staff. Hey, I'm telling you, you know what? Being a member of the media is not the safest thing all the time. Anyway, I'm reading now. Here's how it got here. And thanks for the tip, Bible study. Local Denver sports radio hosts Zach By and Brandon Stokely were doing their show from 104.3 The Fan at camp. After practice, Marquette was walking by and they asked if he'd like to come over and speak with them. This is how it went. Question. Okay, I guess he's sitting down, okay? With 2 weeks of camp, how would you summarize it for yourself? King. I don't know how to summarize it. Good. Like a regular practice day. Question. How's the transition been with a new team, new locker room moving from Oakland to Denver? King. I don't know. It's cool. Got some cool people on the team. Question. How's your relationship with the coaching staff? Getting along well? King. Yep. Everything's good. Question. You always have a lot of personality, but it doesn't seem like you have a lot to say right now. Are you frustrated about something in particular? Oh, geez, I would never You know, I would not do that. That's me, okay? But whatever, let's continue. King says, I just don't like talking about football. I just do it. There you go. Question, well, tell us about yourself. Who is Marquette King? What do you like to do? What do you like to enjoy? King, I know I like more oxygen. Question, laughs. Is the altitude bothering you a bit? King says, it gets on my nerves sometimes, but I mean, it's my job, so yeah. But see, at that point, I would have said, hey, you know what? I know you got things to do, and I'm glad I'm glad we had this time to talk with you, and continued success. I would have just stopped it right there, because obviously, you know, he's not keying in if you're asking him that kind of questions. But instead, they're not me, so they went on, right? It says, okay, so it says, question: how much are you looking forward to getting a start a week from tomorrow in preseason? I mean, it's definitely coming, so. Host, all right, we'll leave it at that. Thanks for coming by. King walks away. Wow. And as you might expect, Stokely and Bai were kind of taken aback by the exchange from the normally talkative punter. That's when Stokely said on air that he heard a couple of weeks ago that King was frustrated about being on Denver. He said he doesn't know the fundamental reason why, but heard it from a source who said that he and his co-host had really trust that King had been making snide remarks very much like the I like more oxygen, but suggested he was unhappy in Denver. The next day, King took to his favorite method of communication, social media, to tweet in emoji form that Darren McKee, another radio host from the same station, is, well, let's not beat around the egg here. He called him a bad word I'm not going to repeat on here, okay? And it didn't end there, though. Today, King went physically after McKee after practice and threatened him to keep my name out of your mouth and had to be restrained by Broncos public relations people and removed from the field. Darren McKee writes, Marquette King just came up to me and told me to keep my name out of your mouth. It's asked him, or what? And he said, again, in a threatening manner, and was escorted by PR back to the building. If Darren McKee worked for Zennie 62, that should have been on video. And you don't say, or what, like you're going to challenge him. That's stupid. The man could kill you. Don't do stuff like that, okay? Anyway, Jack Bai says, the Marquette King situation is escalating. 48 hours in review. Friday, King sabotages interview with Stoke. So we shut it down after a minute and 30 seconds. Saturday, King on Twitter tells D-Mac to blank. Sunday, King finds D-Mac and threatens him. Great start as a Bronco. Okay, so my buddy just sent me a pic of Broncos PR trying their best to keep Marquette King away from D-Mac. Shame. Here's that photograph, folks, right here, okay? Here's that photograph. Right here. Boom. There's King. There's D-Mac. There's the Broncos PR people. All right. Not a good look for King, and, you know, we can see right in one fell swoop why John Gruden got rid of him. So John is probably, at this point, breathing a sigh of relief. Goes on, it says, and we thought his little sideshow in front of the Raiders headquarters doing the donkey dance was a reminder of why the Raiders got rid of him. This just looks like a scorned lover at this point. Clearly, King has some serious problems he needs to deal with. Those problems now belong to the Broncos. Have fun with that. So that, you know, not a good look. I mean, that's just not good. But it's also clear that, look, I'm not going to defend Marquise King. I'm not going to say anything in his defense. There's nothing to say. You don't attack people. You have to understand, and it's up to the Broncos and the NFL to coach players. They don't do this. The NFL doesn't say, hey, look, you're a public figure. That means people are going to say, particularly reporters, anything they want to, and you have to have a thick skin and deal with it or ignore it. But you cannot physically threaten people. The minute you physically threaten anyone, you've crossed the line, particularly the press. The press is the fourth estate. You allow the press to ask questions. The press should not always be of the same mind. The press should police itself by having different types of voices. But that's another story. But here, no, what he did was straight up wrong. Straight up wrong. It's so anyway. Pindaro and Townsend, yeah. Anyway, so that's what's happening there. Hey, it's 119, folks. I'm going to stop at 120. Oh, by the way, some Raiders, Las Vegas news to report having to do with a monorail. Folks, that monorail looks like it's not happening. The one that was supposed to extend out to Mandalay Bay, where people would say, well, we can stop at Mandalay Bay and then walk across the stadium, or maybe it'll be extended. No, and the reason it's not is because no one's going to guarantee the bond sale for that expensive extension. It costs $200 million per mile to expand the Las Vegas monorail system. That's just not happening, okay? It just isn't happening whatsoever. So that's just one more chink in the armor of problems with that stadium project going on there. It really is, because sponsorship. Where's the sponsorship? I can go right now to just type whatever I want to type here. Oh, by the way, before I type this, I want to go back to talking about Courtland Sutton, because I didn't call Marquez King, but the whole point is Courtland Sutton should be a Raider. Courtland Sutton would stabilize the Raiders' receiving core. Courtland Sutton matched with Amari Cooper. Woo! Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. That's the future all day long, and then them some. You even have Demaryius Thomas saying he's impressed by Courtland Sutton. I want you to listen to this, folks, because I said this guy should be a Raider. I want you to hear this. All right? This is Demaryius Thomas. That's not Demaryius Thomas, okay? This is Demaryius Thomas.
I think it's something you probably don't get to see as much, and it is a point of emphasis. You got a lot of young talent that's coming in, and it's small little things that these guys can help their game by. And I'm the guy that stay in the back of the line and watch it and tell them what they can do different. And first day, of course, you make a player comfortable if you come up to him and you try to help him out instead of just letting him go out and do his own thing.
This is about Courtland Sutton.
No, he his own self. I can't say when I first found out he was coming, I was excited, big guy, run. But when I first saw him on the field, I had no idea he can run routes like he do. So that kind of reminded me, because big fella, he can run routes, he catch the ball at the highest point, and one thing he do well is staying low when he run his route, and that's big. That's big to be a big guy and be able to do the things he can do. Oh yeah, it's like he going up for a rebound. That's big for us. He can do it instead of me.
Okay, so that was Demaryius Thomas talking about Courtland Sutton. All right, and one characteristic of Courtland Sutton's play that I said I liked a lot is he fights for the ball in traffic. He is a person that can catch a ball in spite of close coverage. He is the other side of the Bill Walsh style of training. Coach Walsh would teach the quarterback to throw the ball in spite of the receiver being covered close. But what happens when you have a receiver that's covered close that doesn't quite know how to catch the ball when he's got somebody draped on him? Courtland Sutton did not have that problem in college, and that's why he was such a great in-zone receiver. So again, I cannot gush about how much I felt Courtland Sutton should have been taken by the Oakland Raiders, how disappointed I am that they did not take him, and how much I'm telling you that Sutton be an all-pro sooner, I say this year, than later. Watch the name. And sadly, the Raiders will see him twice, not once. Yearly. Okay? So, John Marks, Sutton, and Cam Robinson should be Raiders. Yep, they should be. They definitely should be. So, You've got comments here. Bible study says, I think it's Chargers, Raiders, and Broncos for the AFC West. Bible study says, since I'm in Denver, man, and Bible study, thank you for pointing out the tip regarding King. Cowboy Wrestlers off, good night. I'm not too far behind. Corey Brown says, A's chasing after the Astros. But Bible study says, well, there goes the transportation. Talking about Vegas. And let me see something here. Read off where the Oakland A's stand. Oakland A's. By the way, Oakland A's schedule. I have some A's news as well, which comes from Oakland News Now. I'm going to show that to you in a second. Hold on a second. The A's play the Dodgers at the Coliseum tomorrow at 10:05 p.m. Eastern. They have a 2-game stand with the Dodgers, and then a 2-game stand with the Angels of Anaheim. In the standings, the Athletics are listed as in the American League as being second behind the Astros. So the Astros are 71-42 for a 628 winning percentage. The A's are 67-46, 593 winning percentage. They're 4 games back. The Rangers of Texas are 22 games back. Wow. Followed by the Angels, which are 16 games back. The Mariners are 6.5 games back. So that's how that looks for the AL West. The A's are doing well, but you know what? The Astros are doing better. The Stros are the defending baseball champions of Major League Baseball. So, getting back to your comments, we've got going down here. And Big Business says, I remember you calling Sutton. Good call. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Hey, you know what? I have watched the NFL and kept my own draft list since I was 16. So yeah, I'm 16, all right? So John Mark says, A's riding a 6-game winning streak. Going on a break tomorrow and playing the Dodgers Tuesday in Oakland. I will land at the Coliseum. Predator Kingdom says, Dodgers fans coming in this week, so going to be a lot of fights. Oh my gosh. Hey, I'm now going to switch over to Oakland News Now. I want to show you my breaking story because some people at other organizations have said that there is a kind of a pushback or a disagreement with the A's attempt to build a stadium at Howard Terminal and Jack London Square, right? And of course, the publication named a bunch of possible people who might be standing in the way, all men, which proves that, you know, they don't really know the situation. Then there's me, okay? So, because I am friends with the great, I will call her development activist for Jack London Square, Vivian Kahn, who also was a thorn in the side of the last would-be developers of a Howard Terminal Stadium for the A's, in 2014, I thought, you know what? Vivian Kahn is more than likely the person who's standing in the way. So, because I know Vivian and I know Oakland politics. Boom. This is what I wrote. Oakland A's, new baseball stadium seeks CEQA. For those of you who don't know, CEQA stands for California Environmental Quality Act, Fast Track Law. Will Vivian Kahn stop Howard Terminal plant? I should have put, will Vivian Kahn stop Howard Terminal plant again? Because she did it once before, okay? But, so what I did was I reached out to Vivian, who's my friend and also sent her a message saying, hey, look, are you still opposed to this? I got no answer. So I'm going to make a follow-up with Vivian Kahn, but I'm going to give her another day to answer. I'm going to call her again. I'm going to kind of lean on her and see where things are, right? But I believe that based on Ms. Kahn's opposition before, yeah, I think she's given a problem again. I want you to hear this exchange I had with Port of Oakland commissioners. This is back in 2014. I want to hear this. So, gentlemen, tell us what the next steps of this process are.
The next steps are to negotiate with the port stakeholders and with teams to see if we can put together a good proposal.
Yeah, Doug, you want to add to that?
I think you got it right.
Yeah. Is off camera we were talking about something I can't mention on camera. That was the financing issue. Of the total, what do you think is going to be projected cost right now? I know it's going to change, but ballpark maybe $500 million, something like that.
I think we're just getting into this right now, so we're going to have to explore all the costs. And we're going to have discussions. It's hard to answer when we don't know what the stadium will look like or what the development impacts will be.
Are you at all concerned about Vivian Kahn's comment? She can be a tough political player. So we've all known Vivian for a long time. So
this is a process that's going to go on. This is just the first step in that process. As Mike said, we have to negotiate with the port over the land. And we also know there are many regulatory agencies that will have come into play over time. The neighborhood is very important. We're going to have to communicate with them. We're going to have to negotiate with them. There are stakeholders throughout Oakland that are going to be part of this process. The good news is with what Mike has done at Brooklyn Basin down the road, we have a good template. And I think they did an excellent job of negotiating community benefits agreement, working with labor, business, the community. And so I feel pretty good about that aspect of it.
Give my viewers a kind of a quick synopsis of how this all came about. In other words, who started all this first? I mean, was it a restaurant conversation?
Well, it's really a natural outgrowth of what we started 4 years ago when we put Let's Go Oakland together. Then Mayor Dellums had written to Major League Baseball Bud Selig after the A's proposal for Fremont had disbanded, in effort to try to kickstart discussions about keeping the team here. And at that time we built, this Facebook page, Let's Go Oakland, with 55,000 people on it. But we also were able to build a coalition of business, labor, government folks to push forth and have conversation. And we're extremely excited about the opportunity to take the next step.
You want to add anything to that? Any concerns about San Jose's consistent bullying, for want of a better term? Excuse me, that's my term. So, go ahead.
I don't think we're concerned with San Jose. I think we're focused on our own game here and trying to create the best venue such that we offer an opportunity for A's or various teams financial investment, and that we can create a win for the community as well.
Anything you guys want to add for the viewers watching? Any information?
No, the only thing I would add is, look, we're optimistic people, and this effort, as everyone knows, has been going on for some time. The future of the A's. We have a site here which can be ultimately the most spectacular site. We think they make it about it. Truly transformational for the city of Oakland, for the Oakland A's, and for Major League Baseball, quite frankly. So we're ready to roll up our sleeves and get to work.
Should add the Warriors too, by the way. Yeah. Hey, thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate it.
Thanks,
Okay. Mike Gilmetti here is developer of a 3,000 unit complex called Oakland Basin, which is going to remake the Oakland waterfront. Doug Boxer over here, and he's the son of the great former Senator Barbara Boxer. So, good guy. So anyway, just want to give you a picture of the original folks who started the whole Howard Terminal effort. Those guys. They were also stopped, okay, and in their tracks. And so, no, one of you asked something about comparing Vivian Kahn to Larry Reed. That's ridiculous. Larry Reed is District 7 council member. He hasn't stopped anything. Vivian Kahn represents, aside from being an architect and an urban planner by trade, she is on the board of directors of the Jack London Business Improvement District, and so is head deep and involved and direct the conversations with the A's down there. But she has a track record of not so much opposing, but very stringently calling for very stringent responses to their environmental concerns. And but it's very important to understand that. Moving along, Corey Brown points out on comments. He says Raiders training camp potentially in Reno could be largely attended by the Oakland Raiders fan base. Oakland to Reno is half the miles of Vegas to Reno. So I'm confused. We had the training camp First it was going to be in Reno. Then they're going to shift it to Henderson, right? Or is it the headquarters in Henderson? I mean, it's like now we're back to Reno. Hey, Bible study. Nice to have you again, that you're here. Okay. And Rob Iman says, I hope the Giants aren't paying the NIMBYs. Could happen. Bible study asked me, ZZ, what do you think about Falcons at home in Atlanta for Super Bowl? Look, it's always possible any year that the host team could be the team that plays in the Super Bowl. This year is certainly true for that as well. All right, so moving along. Yeah, so anyway, that is the situation. John Mark says, the Raiders in Reno now. No, this is all talk, and I'll follow up and get more information on that another time. Corey has the front seat on this. Corey writes, headquarters in Henderson Training Camp in Reno. Thank you. Yeah, I thought for some reason, I thought they were all going to be together. But I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying that it just seemed like somewhere in my head I got that idea, and the first they hadn't nailed down anything in Reno. Reno's been the talk for some time. This is not new. It has been the talk that they were going to have a training camp there for, a year plus? I thought that was the original idea, and then there was talk that they were going to put the training camp in the Valley. And so there was buzz that, hey, you know what? The people up north aren't going to get anything. So now, somehow, it's shifted back to Reno. Interesting. Yeah, it is nice to see a team loyal to Oakland. Go A's. I agree with you. John Mark says, I still say Howard Terminal was the choice for the A's. Well, it's not, John Mark says, it's not that the Howard Terminal isn't the choice. What I'm talking about, the hurdles needed to get over it. Let me see if I can find and read off to you. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to find this later because I'm going to stop, as I promised myself I would do. It's 1:36 and slow down and say I'll see you tomorrow. But that'll give me time to find this letter and do a follow-up on my Vivian Kong blog post. See if I can track her down, okay? And John Mark says, if the Raiders leave for Vegas, why not the Coliseum? John Akala says, if Howard Terminal falls through for the A's, I guess the last option will be to tear down the Coliseum and build the stadium, which I think, look, Coliseum City I think is a fantastic option. I think the A's at Howard Terminal is not a bad idea. I think there are pluses for both. I think it should be a competition. The A's should throw out to the public the opportunity to vote on it and move forward. And John Mark says, I still say the Coliseum reboot is the choice for Oakland Pro Sports, and to that I say thank you. If you want to understand what John Marks is talking about, just type Coliseum reboot in Google. First result, click on the website, you'll see the rest. All right, folks, good night. 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 See you all tomorrow. A little earlier bat time at the same bat channel. Good night, everybody. Good night. Good night. Like 8:30. Good night. Good night. Good night. Good night. Good night. Still working on that guest stuff. Good night. Who is it that used to do? Is it Beverly Hills Billies that used to do this? Yeah. All right. Huh. Good night. Good night, Rob. I mean, good night. Good night. Yeah, Coliseum site is great for soccer. Good night. All right, folks. I'm gonna write good night. Good. Good night. Not good night. Good night. Good night. So remember, Oakland News Now. Check out oaklandnewsnow.com. I'm gonna put out. There's the link right here. All right, so that you can read and please bookmark, and talk about my new blog, Oakland News Now, right here. Oakland News Now, okay? Just Oakland News Now, right here. It is, where is that? Where is that link? Right there. Boom. Right there. That's it. See that? That link that just is coming up? There it is. There it is. It's right there, folks. All right. Good night. Good night. There it is, folks. Good night, everybody. Good night. See ya. Keep America strong. Watch horror films. Oakland News Now is the place for Oakland news. That's right. See ya. And it is. There's also a link to like continuously flowing Oakland news right there from my other sister blog, Oakland News Online. So you got Oakland News Now, Oakland News Online, the 2 best sources of news in Oakland. There you go. See ya. All right. See you, everybody.